the MAPSCorps South Shore site.
This is the MAPSCorps South Shore site.
Welcome to the MAPSCorps South Shore site.
This is the MAPSCorps South Shore site.
Welcome to the MAPSCorps South Shore site.
My name is Tavares, and welcome to the MAPSCorps South Shore site.
Our research question is, how do community-level economic asset conditions, specifically related to unemployment, intensify underlying factors that lead to gun violence? Our hypothesis is unemployment and limited economic opportunities in South Shore act as catalysts to intensify underlying factors that then lead to increased gun violence.
South Shore is a community of approximately 53,971 residents on Chicago's South Side.
Annexed into Chicago in 1889, the South Shore community expands from 67th to 79th Street, north to south, and from Lakefront to Stony Island Avenue, east to west. The community is composed of 3 wards, 3 aldermen, a state senator, and a representative, and a Cook County commissioner.
Two of the most important historical causes for South Shore's current economic-rooted, asset-related gun violence epidemic are 21st century white flight and continued segregation-based disinvestment. According to the City Journal in 2020, South Shore's population was 96% white in 1930 and 96% black in 1990. This change mostly took place in the 60s when the neighborhood went from 89% white at the start of the decade, and by the end of the 70s, the neighborhood was 70% black. This change in racial composition is evidence of the phenomenon known as white flight, which began systematic disinvestment in our community.
As of 2020, there are an estimated 59% vacant storefronts on 75th Street and 48% estimated vacant storefronts on 79th Street, the strongest commerce streets in the South Shore area.
It is common knowledge that South Shore has epidemic levels of gun violence. Today, it is the city's leading neighborhood for gun homicides in 2022, tied with Austin on the west side, according to an August 8th Chicago Tribune report. Publicly available crime rate data underlies the severity of violent crime here. Gun homicides in South Shore are 7 times higher than the national average, robberies are more than 6 times higher, and assaults are almost 5 times higher. Violent crime is South Shore's most severe public health problem.
South Shore's economic conditions are its leading cause. A 2017 study in the journal Nature Human Behavior concluded that, quote, shootings are closely correlated with economic distress, unquote. The study concludes that long-term unemployment creates an aura of hopelessness, negatively affecting mental health and violent behavior. In a fall 2018 study published by the Harvard Public Health Review, firearm violence in Chicago is concentrated in neighborhoods with high levels of unemployment and low median household income. This source also states neighborhoods with the highest concentration of poverty between 2005 and 2009. All were mainly African American, and one half had the highest homicide rates.
This is powerful empirical data layering gun violence onto economic conditions in our city's neighborhood, strongly suggesting a causal relationship. To meaningfully and lastingly address South Shore gun violence, we must change community economic conditions and opportunities. As this line graph shows, South Shore has an exceptionally high unemployment rate, 16.7%, more than twice the city rate and nearly 5 times West Town's rate. Significantly, economic asset conditions that we mapped this summer are highly predictive of neighborhood economic activity and unemployment rates.
As this graph shows, West Town has nearly 6 times the number of employers as South Shore does, and more than 4 times the number of job placement or training facilities. To get to the root of the gun violence epidemic in South Shore, we have to build out our economic assets and improve our economic outlook. Our first policy response is to create a community organizations cluster offering economic opportunity services within or affiliated with the South Shore Culture Center. Community organizations can make a crucial difference in crime levels in urban neighborhoods hoping to rebound. The City of Chicago Family Support Services Department described community service centers as clusters of community nonprofits able to
quote, help individuals and families in need access a wide range of resources from shelter, food, and clothing to domestic violence assistance, job training, job placement, and services for the formerly incarcerated. Their efficacy is proven by data. A 2017 New York University study titled Community and the Crime Decline, the causal effect of local nonprofits on violent crime concluded, quote, drawing a panel of 264 cities spanning more than 20 years, we estimate that every 10 additional organizations focusing on crime and community life in a city with 100,000 residents leads to a 9% reduction in murder rates, a 6% reduction in the violent crime rate, and a 4% reduction in the poverty crime rate. The Chicago Recovery Plan's Community Development Grant Program could potentially cover costs. This fund has an ability to provide up to $5 million in large grants for like purposes. Funds might include building costs, pre-development, and community organization expansion.
Our second policy response is to collaborate with a small coalition of business leaders to initiate and sustain 50 or more Black-owned businesses over the next 10 years in South Shore. Business leaders and economists now agree that African American economic renewal and increased opportunity will require a major new effort to grow Black entrepreneurship and ownership. A 2020 publication from the McKinsey Institute of Black Economic Mobility states, quote, entrepreneurship and business ownership, especially of community-based businesses, are crucial ways to develop community wealth for both business owners and the people they employ. Healthy Black-owned businesses could be a critical component for closing the United States Black-white wealth gap, which we project will cost the economy $1 to $1.5 trillion per year by 2028. A December 2021 report in Politico refers to the precedent of Chicago's past when in the 1950s through the 1980s, several of the largest banks, corporations, and manufacturers in Chicago were Black-owned. This wasn't a time of equal opportunity, but it does provide an expandable model for Black entrepreneurship and Black business growth, according to Politico. A November 2021 article in Crane Chicago Business makes the point that with a wider recognition of the need to address equity issues in our city, now is the right time to begin a Black-owned business initiative. South Shore Works is advocating for Chicago's business community to come together to address Chicago's gun violence by transforming over time the economic landscape in which it is rooted. This, we believe, is South Shore's and Chicago's best hope.